Now we're going to move on to our first detailed look at the graphical mode. So as we've seen, we get to the graphical mode by switching over here, and this is the default state. Now we've got a phrase of the same singer that we're going to deal with, and here it is again.
Driving fast, gonna be a blast, and I'm nearly there, people everywhere.
So we'll just take that first phrase. So the first thing we need to do is track the information into graphic mode so it knows what it's dealing with. So we do that here with this track pitch button. So I'll press that now and it will flash red and blue telling us that it's in a waiting state, waiting for us to feed it the audio. So here we go.
Driving fast, gonna be a blast, and I'm nearly there, people everywhere.
Okay, so there's that phrase now tracked, and as we've seen before, the red indicates Auto-Tune's detection of the pitch before any changes have occurred. So that's just what Auto-Tune has seen from the singer. Now I'm going to zoom in on that now using this zoom tool, or I could use the keyboard shortcut 6, and that's dictated over here in the options that we saw in the first movie, where the default state here, the 6 key, is the zoom tool. Now, of course, we can change these to anything else and move them all around, but at the moment I've personally got used to having these tools up here on the number keys, which are above the letter keys, not the number keys over on the keypad. So now that I've got the magnifying tool, I'm going to zoom into this first area here, and we can look at this in more detail. Now at this point, having done the tracking, Auto-Tune is still effectively doing nothing. Playing it back will have no effect.
Driving fast, gonna be a blast, and
except for the fact that we can look at the contours that it's picked up and visually confirm the notes that might be bothering us, as well as just hearing them possibly with tuning problems. So the next step now on our road to correction is to apply one or more of the 3 correction objects to this piece. Now I'm referring specifically to these 3 buttons down here, and this is one of the most powerful features of Auto-Tune, is the fact that we've got a choice of these 3 ways of dealing with things, and we can use all combinations of the 3 to our heart's content. So some of them excel better in different areas of correction, and we'll see that now. So the first thing we're going to do is select all. And I've done that by grabbing the I-beam here and double-clicking in the workspace. So if I single-click and deselect that, you can see I can manually drag over anything I want, or double-click and select the whole phrase. Now the first one we're going to look at is the Make Curve option, which is this. Now what's going to happen here is when I click this button, Auto-Tune will make a curve object for each section of the audio that it's tracked. Now that'll make sense once I do it, so here we go. All the red lines have been replaced by green lines. Now they haven't actually been replaced, they're underneath the green lines. So I'm going to click over here to separate that. Just to show that now, I'll drag one away. And so if I grab this object here, you can see there's the red line underneath and the green line on top. Undo that. So the green line is representing the output that Auto-Tune is doing. So the beauty of this Make Curve mode is the fact that Auto-Tune in this mode is doing nothing at this point. All it's done is created curves for us, enabling us to now make changes. So unlike some other products that immediately impose some correction on top of the audio before you want them to, Auto-Tune has this option now to just give you these objects but not actually make any choices until you choose to. So now what I can do is play the phrase again.
driving fast, gonna be a blast, and
Okay, so let's take this last word here. I can pick this object up, drag it down, and to a completely different note.
driving fast, gonna be a blast, and
Let me undo that and just show what I do really like about these objects though, is that apart from lifting them up and down like this, you can actually tilt them as well by grabbing these handles. So you can have a note that goes a bit flat towards the end, or vice versa, starts flat and then gets a bit sharper. So if I undo all those, we'll actually find some words that will need this sort of help anyway.
driving fast.
Okay, so this one, fast here. Now, this one might benefit by evening out the curve, so making it a bit more like that, and now bringing the whole thing back up.
Driving fast.
So you can see we can make little changes like that. So that's the Make Curve tool. Just makes curves based on the detection that Auto-Tune has already done without imposing any changes until you need them yourself. So just to clear that now, I'll select all and cut all those changes away. So now we're back to our raw detected state. Now the next option here is Import Auto, and we have discussed this a little bit earlier, and what that does is takes all the settings that are over in auto mode and brings them into graphical mode. Now this is great for those times when auto mode nearly gets it right, but perhaps falls over on a few tough sections. And so this allows you to bring the work of auto mode into the graphical mode and then make your manual changes from there. So this is the default state of auto tune now. We've got a retune speed of 20 and we'll leave it at that. So let's go back to graphical mode, select our phrase here, and now import auto. Right, so that's what auto would have done. And you can see it's straying from the red line in various parts of the curve here. Let's move along down there. So let me bypass and play the original phrase again.
Driving fast, gonna be a blast, and I'm nearly there, people everywhere.
Okay, now here's what auto mode does to it.
Driving fast, gonna be a blast, and I'm nearly there, people everywhere.
Okay, now that's largely good, but we could hear here on this note there that she strays so sharp that the auto mode has pushed her up a semitone too sharp. So I'll play that second half again.
I'm nearly there, people everywhere.
Right there. So at this point, we now have the ability to use everything that auto mode's done, but come in and make some repairs just to that. And there's numerous ways we can do that, which we'll discuss in more detail in the next movie, which is about the tools up here, but just quickly I'll make it now anyway. Grab this. So I've just made a note over the affected area, and let's play back.
I'm nearly there, people everywhere.
So simple as that. We've used what auto mode's brought to the table and made one little subtle change and we're good to go. So that's the benefit of import auto mode if your original performance is almost there with auto mode. So once again, I'll select all and cut. And we'll look at this last one, make notes. So again, I'll select all and I'll just play a bit to get to the front. Now, we'll make notes and look what happens here. It makes these notes directly over the detection. Now, the control we have here that goes along with that is the number of objects that it makes. Now, it looks like it's had a fairly good guess at it at its default state. I'll go back to the beginning of the phrase.
Driving fast, gonna be a blast, and I'm nearly there, people everywhere.
It's had a pretty good go at it, but let's say, for example, there wasn't enough notes or too many notes. We can use this number of notes control here. So that's going backwards, and you can see it's dropping off the detail. If I go too high, the detail gets too complicated and we end up getting lots of little bits poking around the place. So of course this depends on the source vocal, but you can adjust this then to get the most accurate representation of your singer without breaking it into too many small bits or without missing the boat altogether. Now from here I want to dovetail directly into the next movie where we talk about the tools, because a lot of the groundwork we've just built discussing these three modes will continue through with these tools and a few other little extras that we're going to add on to that. So stick around, jump into the next movie and we'll continue the story there.